Imagine Varanasi as a landscape of clear water bodies, fresh Ganga flowing throughout dense forest shores, waterfronts full of green canopies, the calmness in mist and sound, the dim light throughout the shadows allows you to get lost in the sacred landscapes, to connect with their mystic energy. Meditation and well-being arise in its depth, as well as the love we feel for it.
Forests are perfectly balanced systems. Energy is never lost. The same concept of waste is non-existent. Energy is completely exchanged. What we breathe, they exhale. What we exhale, they breathe. They're the most productive landscape of life in the known universe, and still, they're being completely depleted. The rapid increase in population results in the clearing of forests to provide the land for the construction of housing complexes and meet the timber demands of population. Besides this, human activities like agriculture, selective lodging of trees, between others, are also a prime reason for the deterioration of forests all over the world.
Varanasi was named by Shiva himself as Anandavana, meaning sacred city as forest of bliss. It was a landscape of temples. It was purely magical, skyline composed by temples and the forest in a whole. And sadly, Varanasi now barely has the remaining scars of the landscape it once had. The Ghats and the Ganga now need massive restorations due to years of neglected ecology.
The Kunds are abandoned in spite of once being known as the oasis for communities to gather, and the Varuna became infilled and heavily polluted. The ecology they once had has been lost. But there is a promising way to change this. The juxtaposition between culture and nature may be recovered through the spiritual connection with the forest.
Varanasi's unique sacred landscape has all the resources needed to restore the forest. It has an historical influx of currently millions of pilgrims and their missions of fulfilling their spiritual journeys along the temples and the sacred routes of the Kunds. The Ganga brings fertile soil every year with the monsoon. Soil can be shaped into deity sculptures as a ritual to carry them to sites. Clay pot techniques are mastered for water wholeness and movement. Even cows would play an important role. Their dung is used already for many activities by the communities in Varanasi, but bricks can be used to protect young trees. Soil, water, and spirituality will make nurseries start appearing around the cities, engaging with spiritual leaders, educational institutions, and community agencies. Finally, the whole population can get involved in the process and strengthen their natural identity. Pilgrims, students, and communities will engage in the ritual of building the forest. The current sacred routes across the city are intersected by the airport roads, which runs towards the Shashmawet Ghat. We strategically propose to make this path a pilgrimage route that merges with Varuna's river outer pilgrimage route. The yellow A to J that runs Ganga to Ganga from this geography map is abstracted with the ecological, spiritual, and civic elements to an abstract map that allows us to design the methodology of the process. The alluvial sediments will remain over the Ghats at strategic locations to build forest for resiliency. At the temples, the soil rituals are performed. Soil will be molded into sculptures to be transported by boat to the Varuna and by feet through pilgrims who will hold clay baskets through the pilgrim route to assigned Kunds. The ancient water body locations will be restored as ecological systems. The ancient connections between these water systems will become pilgrimage routes for the rituals of building the large ecological infrastructure of the forest. At the Varuna and Kunds, nurseries will be farmed by each temple. The forest will grow from the cones as flowers spreading out at large festivals. The Varuna will provide many plantings for transplanting along the Varuna and pilgrim routes. At all the cones, existing and restored, temples will coordinate with local civic institutions such as schools, communities, and municipalities to operate the science and know how to build a forest. Our three selected sites along the proposed pilgrim routes are the following: the Shashwamet Ghat, mainly where the soil ritual is performed, and the ecological Ghat is built for resiliency forest services. Is the Pichashmashan Talab, where all the resources are assembled as a staging ground. Soil is gathered, bricks are made, clay pots are produced, nurseries are farmed, and transplanting is made in the surrounding spaces. Varuna intersection, also with temples and all the resources to build a forest as a ritual. These three typologies working together will grow the forest simultaneously, engaging communities and uplifting well-being.